Friends, Power Guy Rob Phoenix here. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy autumn. Today is the first day of autumn. And just like last year, it was so cool last year because it was like hot, 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 hot. And then first day of autumn happened and the temperatures immediately went down into the 60s. The sky was overcast, there were leaves blown. It was like the perfect first day of fall. This year's the same way. Temperatures in the 60s, it's very overcast. Little breeze, leaves blowing around. It's nice. So it's a really good first day of fall. So I hope you're all enjoying it. I'm just kind of hanging out. Today was like laundry day and all that kind of bizwaz. But this time of year always gets me thinking about magic, like ritualistic magic and different magical traditions and such. And one of the things that I think is very cool is that there are so many different magical kind of traditions in this day and age, but we can all kind of trace, at least those of us who incorporate elements of like ceremonial work, ritualistic work into what we do. Now, powwow in and of itself does not have those elements. Powwow in and of itself is not a tradition of like personal empowerment and spiritual enlightenment and such. It's literally just some prescriptions for healing and protection. However, your church affiliation, whatever, is where you get hopefully your spiritual evolution and such with. But for those of us who are no longer actively attending a church, we can incorporate some ritualistic ceremonial elements into our work and do that kind of stuff on our own, because that's really the goal of all that like invoking and evoking and working with elements and astrological talismans and like the tools and such with all that is designed to elevate us spiritually. So anyway, those of us who do those things, and what I'm talking about are like things like invocations to the archangels, the ritualistic tools that correspond to the elements and the directions, things like wands and daggers and cups and swords and pentacles and that sort of situation. All of that can be traced back to like Old Testament, Abrahamic religion, ceremonial magic. We're talking like the keys of Solomon. There's what's called the lesser key of Solomon and the greater key of Solomon. The lesser key of Solomon is really more where we see the origins to all those magical practices that all these traditions are doing nowadays. Those are things like getting salt, and I conjure you, creature of earth, and cast out impurities and such with ritualistic blades, magic wands, staffs or staves, pentacles. And you see in the greater key of Solomon more on the astrological pentacles or the talismans, where you're actually invoking the principalities and powers behind the planetary energies and such with, because the idea is that everything is energy, everything, that it's everything we see, everything. It's just, it could all dissolve in a second to energy. And so if you think of the world that way, then you think about these ritualistic things that we're doing, it all means something else. It all represents something else. And when you have that greater understanding of that, you understand that you are touching on things in this like collective, universal energy pool. I don't know how to say it, and it's coming out all wrong, and it is what it is. But anyway, to make a long story longer, we can trace all that stuff back to the keys of Solomon. So even the most rabid anti-Christian, anti-Judeo-Christian practitioner of magic, who is using, an athame or a pentacle or casting a circle or calling the quarters and such, that comes from Keys of Solomon. The Keys of Solomon actually traveled, not on its own, obviously. People moved about with copies of this and went into like the Scandinavian and Nordic Viking countries and such. And so those folks, that's where you see all those Viking like the Viking symbols, the helm of awe and all this stuff. They were inspired by the planetary and astrological talismans found within the Greater Key of Solomon. So even that has Abrahamic religious foundations, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Actually, my only biggest complaint within like modern magical traditions and communities is denial of history or the rewriting of history. I hate that. Let's just be factual about where this stuff comes from. So anyway, at this time of year especially, and I'm sure I'm not alone, I think a lot of people kind of get that weird sort of spooky almost vibe, and it inspires you to want to do more magic. At least for me, it inspires me to want to delve into learning more that I can incorporate into the more ritualistic magical practices that I do. As it is now, as a powwower, I don't do much ritualistic stuff. I have some stuff I do, like out of the Golden Dawn. I love the Lesser Banishing ritual. I love the middle pillar exercise, where you get the energy going up and around you this way and around you this way. That's very powerful and empowering. So, and the invoking and banishing rituals of the pentagram, that sort of thing. And usually I do the more ritualistic stuff in my work as a Hexenmeister. But that's not often. If I'm making a talisman for somebody, I'll do that inside of an actual like ceremonial, ritualistically crafted circle. Excuse me, taking a sip of tea. It's a really good day for a nice hot cup of tea. So anyway, I definitely urge you to look. You can find it free online. It's just the Lesser Key of Solomon and the Greater Key of Solomon, and just read through them, and you'll see where are the origins of a lot of what we do now come from. And it's fascinating. And some of us still do it the way it's written in those books. Like those of us who are part of Abrahamic faiths still might do things the way they were done. Some do it exactly word for word the way that the books were translated. I don't do everything in those books just because I don't have a need to do everything in those books. But when I do use this stuff, I stick as close to that as is practical for the modern world. So anyway, there is a lot of free information online. I found YouTube is awesome for learning. Like if you're interested in, I should say this, if you're interested in incorporating some more ceremonial ritualistic things into your work, one thing is that yes, it has Abrahamic origins, but it's really been the foundation of like the religion of Wicca, and everything that they do comes from that Abrahamic stuff. But they've just changed things to be more in tune with like Irish and Celtic mythos and such with, to remove those Abrahamic elements from it. And that's what they've done. But so you can find on YouTube tons and tons of videos talking about this, like giving you very good beginner basic information if you're interested in it. Which I am. I'm very interested in it. It's just that a lot of it, like, it can go too far, I think, because it's just not necessary for me to be like, conjuring demons and angels and forcing spirits to become my servitor or whatever. Like, I don't need to do all that. I don't want to do all that. That's not necessary. But there you go. So check it out. You can go. Well, I'll put links in the description, or I'll try to if I can figure out how to do it, for free copies of the Keys of Solomon online. Sometimes it's hard to get through because they had all these different names for God, and they invoke every single one of them. So it's like a lot of like just a lot of things that we don't use in this day and age anymore. But still very fascinating, very interesting. And it's always nice to know the origins of stuff that's being done now in this day and age. I just think it's really interesting, and maybe you'll be able to, I don't know, modify it in some way that works best for you, for what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. But remember that the point is that inner growth. You know what I mean? It's that connecting to things out there in the universe, to give us a higher understanding of what we really are, and how we can influence things in the universe. I don't know. I'm starting to spout all these nebulous concepts, but it's hard to put stuff like that into words. But there you go. So anyway, that's all I want to talk about today was like ceremonial magic and where you can find some good resources, and how, those of us, any of us, anybody watching this, anybody that's any part of a magical tradition that does something like drawing a circle or casting a circle or doing quarters, or watchtowers and such, all that can be traced back. We all kind of have the same source. We just have different now modern translations of it. So anyway, that's it. Hope everyone has a great day. God bless you guys. Love you. And we will talk again soon.